Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Be Entertained. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be speaking about the 10 different types of personality disorders. Okay, now this is a very controversial topic. So, again, it's entertainment purposes. However, I have 19 years' experience in the healthcare profession, and I have the privilege of working with some of the smartest medical minds in the whole world. Okay, however, I did do extensive research on the topic before doing this presentation. Okay, so make sure to leave a comment below, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you. Look, everybody's got a personality, right? And part of having a personality is how we experience the world, our inner experience of the world, our emotional experience, and also how we behave outwardly. So, what happens when we say somebody has a personality disorder? Well, what we're saying there is that there's a really marked deviation from what they expect and how we expect them to behave, or how, let's say, they're experiencing the world. And that really leads to a great deal of distress and impairment in their function. Now, saying somebody has a personality disorder, it's actually a very controversial thing. This whole category, I mean, let's just look at the trial here with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but the research has validated, that that basically, look, one of the things that we know in the current categories is that there's 10 categories, and it's separated out into these three clusters, these three circles right here that you can see: cluster A, B, and then cluster C here. Now, as a general overview, the personality disorders in cluster A are often defined as being odd and eccentric, right? Those in B are often labeled as being dramatic, emotional, or erratic. And finally, in cluster C, these personality disorders are often described as encompassing anxiety and fearfulness features. One of the things you may have noticed is that there's a fair degree of overlap between these three clusters. And it may very well be that even though that there's 10 different types of personality disorders, and an individual may have, a couple of these. So let's just start with category A. We have we have paranoid here, schizoid, and schizotypal personality disorder. Okay, so let's start with paranoid personality disorder. The key feature that really causes impairment here is this really profound distrust of other people. And that would be in keeping with the name, right? Paranoid. Let's look at schizoid. Someone who is schizoid often is very emotionally detached in their relationships, and shows little emotion. And finally, we get the schizotypal. People with schizotypal personality disorder not only tend to avoid close relationships, but they also have this kind of odd or magical thinking that would really differentiate themselves from the others, like cluster A personality disorders. Now, there's a whole heap of extra criteria and descriptions, but this is just an overview. As we can see, these individuals are somewhat odd and somewhat detached from the people, right, around them. And they may have unusual beliefs or the degrees of distrust or suspiciousness. Let's move on to cluster B. This is a cluster where I believe Amber Heard falls under: antisocial, borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic. As I mentioned, cluster B often contains dramatic, emotional, or erratic traits. When we think about people with antisocial personality disorder, they tend to have little or no regard for others. They're often involved in the legal system. They may commit crimes, and they will often show no remorse. They're very inconsiderate to others. And this would be consistent with antisocial. They're not social people, right? They're opposite of being social. Secondly, we have borderline, which is, people with borderline, they're always at the brink of some kind of emotional or relationship issue, right? They have very unstable relationships, just like Amber. Their emotions can be actually pretty unstable, and they could have really variable self-image. They can actually be pretty impulsive and put them in quite danger. Next is histrionic. People with histrionic personality disorders are very attention-seeking. They might wear very bright clothes. They might wear things that are very provocative, and they can display a lot of their emotions outwardly, right? So finally, in this category, we have narcissistic. People with narcissistic personality disorders, they have huge egos. They might think that they're the best thing since sliced bread. They have a lot of need for admiration and praise, and they don't take it lightly if you try to criticize them. One of the other ways to describe it as being very grandiose. They think very highly of themselves, right? And finally, let's move on to our last cluster, the anxious and fearful cluster C. In this cluster, we have 3 different personality disorders. We have avoidant, the dependent, and obsessive compulsive personality disorder. And I'm going to stress this. This is a personality disorder here, as opposed to obsessive compulsive disorder, which is totally different. Don't mix them. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Let's start with avoidant. The main issue with people who are avoidant is that they're very inhibited and they feel inadequate, and generally they try to avoid putting themselves in a situation that they can be criticized, okay? Secondly, they have dependent. People who are dependent are, they're very submissive. They can be very clingy. They need the help of others all the time. Now, I just want to spend a second on obsessive compulsive disorder, because these people can be very focused, right? Very focused. They want their life being in order, things to be perfect, and for them to be in control. And the reason why this is actually different from obsessive compulsive disorder, which is another condition, is that with obsessive compulsive personality disorder, the focus is on order and them being in control. They don't necessarily have to check the locks and doors and windows, repeatedly wash their hands, be very concerned about germs or bugs, things like that. That some people with actually, it's totally different. So these people, the real focus here for obsessive compulsive personality disorder is their focus is on control, order, perfection, orderness, and it really annoys other people, and it can delay projects like work, school, because they're hyper focused on these issues. So this is just an overview of the 10 personality disorders over these 3 different clusters, A, B, C, and you can go into far more detail, and there's a large degree of controversy over these because not all the research has been done. Now, just remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. But again, I just want to address somebody that was in the comments who said that, is this a bot who is loving all these comments? And no, it's me. I answer the comments. It's me. It's not a bot. If I happen to like a comment, I will love it to show, my respect and the time that you took to, watch the video and also to make the comment. It's time away from your day. So it's me. It's not a bot. Just to put that to that little rumor to bed. But again, I will answer all your comments. I usually do it while I'm traveling. And again, thank you for your time. And I'm looking forward to seeing it in the comments. Thanks.